For my topic for my final speech, I didn't choose one that really has to do with me so much as one that I knew nobody else would pick, but is an important topic to talk about, and that is the legalization of prostitution. Legal prostitution in the state of Nevada is a licensed, regulated, and tightly controlled business activity. There are screening practices which protect patrons and the ladies themselves. Legalized prostitution has many benefits, both health-wise and socially, that cannot be achieved through illegal prostitution. Many prostitutes who are working illegally currently live under unfortunate conditions and are frequently mistreated and discriminated against. When prostitution is illegal, these circumstances are overlooked. Most of the people who are against prostitution are against it because they believe it is harmful to the prostitute, or they see it as immoral. The problem is, prostitution is not going away. Ignorance is not bliss. The only way to fix the problems prostitutes face on a daily basis is to address them through the legalization of prostitution. The most horrific incidents I heard about while on the streets were never reported to the police. The labels of whore and addict kept us mute, and the police were not noted for asking us to speak up. Even today, few women on the street report such vicious incidents for the very same reasons. Illegal prostitution hinders many from seeking help, because they must be concerned about how they will be treated by the police. Decriminalization offers a valuable opportunity to lessen the unnecessary harassment of prostitutes by police. Since they are doing something illegal, they have minimal rights. If somebody abuses them and they request help from the cops, they are more likely to be arrested than the person who did the abusing. How does that benefit anyone other than the abuser themselves? It does not. If prostitution were legal, it would make the potential abuser more likely to hesitate and think before acting. A prostitute would then be able to seek justice if someone were to abuse them, not having to fear that they themselves would be taken into custody. Legal prostitution would allow brothels to be built in designated areas to be established for prostitutes to work safely. Within the confines of a brothel, security can supervise and control the ongoing activities. There is a guarantee that both the prostitutes and the patrons will use protection every time, and everything that occurs is thoroughly consensual. In addition, before working at a brothel, all prostitutes must pass a drug and STD test. They are also required to have a complete STD test every week and an HIV test once a month. This significantly reduces the risk of spreading STDs in brothels and through prostitution. Casual sex is just as, if not more likely, to spread STDs than through legal prostitution. If prostitution were legal, society would then have to recognize it as a legitimate profession. Therefore, prostitutes could collect the same benefits as other working people. They could accumulate unemployment insurance, as well as workmen's compensation. Prostitutes would be allowed pension benefits if they were unable, for whatever reason, to work, or after retirement. Currently, with prostitution being illegal, after a prostitute is too old to do his or her job, they are left with nothing to fall back on, and nothing to help them. If the state recognized prostitution as a legal profession, future employees could not discriminate because of the prostitute's past. Prostitutes would be guaranteed all human rights and civil liberties, including the freedom of speech, work, marriage, and motherhood, and the right of unemployment insurance, health insurance, and housing. When prostitution is illegal, it opens a gateway for exploitation through pimps and others looking for an easy target. Prostitutes run the risk of being enslaved or controlled with no way out. Legal prostitution would permit the regulation of third parties, business managers, according to standard business codes. This would help ensure if a prostitute did have a pimp, that he would not take advantage of her. If prostitution were legal, the law would better be able to ensure the protection of prostitutes working on their own free will. Prostitutes would be free seek help if they are being used or controlled by a pimp. Non-consensual prostitution can be more easily restricted through the legalization of prostitution. Prostitution is not the real problem. With legal prostitution, the state would better be able to recognize the real issues and strongly enforce all the laws against fraud, coercion, violence, child sexual abuse, child labor, rape, and racism, whether or not in the context of prostitution. When people are against prostitution, they are unable to focus on the true issues. Child sexual abuse is a very serious issue that often occurs in illegal prostitution. Children are being pimped out and used. With legal prostitution, all prostitutes must be licensed. A minor cannot get a license to prostitute, and that, in and of itself, lowers the risk for child prostitution. Cops are able to stop focusing as much on all prostitutes and more the ones that should not be prostituting. In addition, cops can then focus on rape and sexual violence against prostitutes and others. They can stop trying to arrest the victims and focus on finding the real criminals and the real abusers. Harassment is a big issue that prostitutes have to deal with daily. People are always trying to criticize them and discriminate against them. Unfortunately, since prostitution is illegal in 49 of the 50 states in the United States, women have no protection socially or legally. When prostitutes are harassed and discriminated against, they can do nothing about it. If prostitution were legal, prostitutes would then be able to fight against discrimination of all types as well as harassment. They would also be able to seek legal counsel to get compensation for that discrimination, like any other person. The licensed brothels of Nevada have proven the numerous benefits of legal prostitution. Legalized prostitution opens doors of all kinds, allowing for many improvements in the lives of prostitutes. Prostitutes currently have minimal to no rights because they are participating in illegal activities. They are unable to go to the police for help because, when they do, they risk facing indifference and even hostility. There have also been accounts of police molesting prostitutes, and nobody believes the prostitutes when they try to say something, because who's going to believe a prostitute over a policeman? If prostitution were legal, brothels could be built as a safe haven for prostitutes. Legal prostitution greatly lowers the chance of STDs and AIDS being spread. It also reduces the risk of child prostitution and sexual abuse. Legal prostitution makes it possible to concentrate fully on problems that are more important, such as forced prostitution, rape, and child molestation. If prostitution was recognized as a genuine occupation, prostitutes would be allowed to collect worker benefits, such as pension and unemployment. Others could no longer discriminate because of a prostitute's choice of occupation. This applies particularly to future employers and landowners. The people who deny that prostitution should be legalized because it is bad for the prostitute do not take into consideration how the prostitute feels. In the United States, it is possible to find a number of organizations of sex workers who defend each other and share the common experiences of choosing and enjoying their forms of labor. They argue that it should be protected under the law with safety guidelines, unions, networks, and all the rest. Prostitutes are people too, and should be allowed to choose for themselves what they want to do. They should also be protected under the same laws that every other working person is protected under. Klinger puts it best when she states, "Women need to have the right to freedom to choose how to live their lives as sexual beings, including taking up the world's oldest profession."